book is Brody Meets the Doc, which is all about how we can practice for a doctor appointment, which of course you can generalize.
You're listening to the Water Prairie Chronicles, a podcast that supports parents of children with disabilities by sharing the stories of individuals who have grown up with disabilities and the organizations available to help parents along the way. Stay connected with us by clicking the subscribe button and leave us a comment if you want to join in on the conversation. So now you gave us a little teaser a while ago in your doctor book. But I want to hear about these books. I love the name Brody the Lion. I love all the characters that you have in there from what I've seen.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for the last few weeks. Those that have been listening to all the podcasts. But I've been really excited about meeting you and learning more about who Brody is, how he came to be, and so take it from here and tell us all about Brody.
Yeah. So way back when, 30 some years ago, his name was Leo, because Leo's a lion, right?
Right.
But you're not going to be able to trademark Leo the Lion. So his name changed when I actually published the book. But I went to a birthday party, and the child was not diagnosed, but the child obviously was autistic. And when I went to this birthday party, the child slammed the door, didn't let a guest in because the guest was late, refused a present because it wasn't in his current special interest, had a meltdown, when people were singing. All of the things that happened in the book happened, 30 some years ago at this birthday party. And as I was driving home, I just, was jotting down this, it just broke my heart because the parents didn't know that he was autistic, and didn't want to hear that he was autistic. And again, it's a long time ago, and this child didn't need to have his birthday experience that way. And so I jotted down these few lines, and in my head, I just said them, but when I got home, I jotted them down and threw them into, a collection of diaries or books or what have you. And as I'm getting older and I'm thinking about, what am I going to do in retirement, and, physically not where I certainly used to be, crawling around on the floor and, picking kids up. So, thinking about that, and then thinking about all of the years of working, and, you can tell I love to talk, and I have so much knowledge and so much experience. And parents are always saying, I wish I had known this. I wish somebody would have told me. I wish you would write a book. And it's like, but man, writing a textbook, textbooks are hard. Big books are hard. And it's like, there's too much information, and it's too general. And it's like, and it takes years. And so all of a sudden I remembered the little, things I had written down, and I said, I should write a children's book. And because there aren't enough children's books that have, again, as a child development specialist, there's millions of children's books, but books that have representation of autism and normalize autism and normalize differences and normalize behaviors without saying he's autistic, because there are children who don't know they have autism that can recognize themselves in Brody. And it doesn't have to say, what, I'm autistic, as we just talked about before. So the parents know that this is about autism, but it doesn't have to be, because it can be about any child that has differences, that has meltdowns, that
any
has
sensory issues. Yes.
Exactly. Sensory issues, anxieties, just all of those different things. So anyway, I decided to write the children's book. So Sometimes I Roar is the first book, and it's about that birthday party. So the first, I don't know however many pages are those actual words that I had written so long ago. And then I wrote the rest of it. And at the end, as I talked about with the doctor book, at the end of each book are the parent tips. And so the Brody book, the first page is about how you would read the book to a child that's non-speaking, a child that had limited language, or a child that is fluent in verbal. And we read it very differently depending on, and some parents don't know that you can change the text in books. You don't have to read books. the way, and I mean, that sounds silly, but some people don't realize that, and you can. It's okay. Us authors do not get offended. They're written because, I write my books in rhymes because rhymings are really important for children. And so if I'm reading this to a group of 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds, having them try to fill in with that repetitive text is a great literacy skill. And so rhyming isn't just cute, it's a really good literacy tool. Plus, like the Brody book has that really good repetitive phrase where every 3 or 4 pages, he's saying the same phrase. And so you can work on that filling in with that repetition. And so there's certain ways that we read that book that help a child's development, not just because they're cute and fun and all of that. But the child gets to see themselves in the book, gets to see, Brody when he was expecting a train because that's what he likes, and he got, something else that of course he's going to love, but that's not what he thought was going to be in that box. Or when Brody wants to play, his dinosaur hunt, but the other friends want to dance, how does he deal with that? Or how does he deal when he loses? And so we get to see Brody, having his meltdowns, and the family and the friends helping to support him. So that's the first book. The second book, we see Brody at school, which is really our therapy clinic. So you actually get to see what our little therapy clinic looks like, because it really is our little building.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really cute. And so we see, when he loses it because he doesn't want to get up and go to school, not because he doesn't love school, but because many of our kids on Mondays, it's like, is it a school day? Wait a second, I was just home. And that change is different. And so many kids struggle if they don't have a calendar, even, visual schedules help and all of that. But sometimes it's hard to get out of bed and go to school. And then mom goes a different route, and he, starts having a meltdown because he's going the wrong way. And then when he gets there, he bolts, away to go to the playground, not because he doesn't love school, but because how many kids go bolting? And then what do you do? Yeah, if you're one of those parents and if you go to chase your kid, they're going to go towards the street. You have to let them go, because if you go to chase them, it's going to get dangerous. So then how do we, what do you do when your child does that? And so there's, techniques that help him to be successful. And this one uses the positive affirmation of doing a chant and practicing. Then our third book is a shopping trip. And so all of these are based on real life experiences. These are initially in the first book, the characters are just a compilation of 30 some years of all of the children I worked with. Starting in book 2, we developed what we call Brody's buddies. So the characters are actually children who either follow me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram. And so in the back of the, starting that second book, we're going to learn about Brody's buddies. So Jaylee, for example, is a young child that has a very rare genetic disorder. So she's not autistic, but she's in both books 2, 3, and 4. And she uses a wheelchair and a stander and has braces and hearing aids and glasses. At the time in this book, she has an eye patch on to strengthen her weaker eye. And so we get to see those characters. Our little Ivy that you saw in the back, she is a character that has Down syndrome that's based on My Incredible Ivy that you can look up. So we start seeing the characters. We have a service dog with Sammy, our dog that has epilepsy. Nice. And they're all based on real children who have, real different needs. And so then in our shopping book, we get to meet some new characters, and we see what happens when we plan for the trip. We go to school, we practice it. We know we're not going to get treats. We know we're going to get this, but then all these other things happen, and the cart's upside down. And there's one of those horrific, awful claw games that, of course we're going to have to play because wasn't there before. And then of course there's no prize in the claw game. So then we have a meltdown. And of course, the meltdowns in public. And so the back of this book talks about what should you do when you see a meltdown. What should you do as the parent? What should you do as the onlookers? And starting also with book 2, I use all of Brody's buddies and the community that I have created to help me edit the book. So, I mean, the books have an editor themselves, but then they go out and I share them. And with those tips and tools, I ask the parents themselves, what else would be helpful? What would you want
good.
people? Yeah, what would you want people to do if your child was having a meltdown? And so all of the tools and changes, I'd like to do a revision on some things in here because I've learned so much in the last 2.5 years since publishing this first book. And some of the language and some of the way I would say this is not the same way because, as we were talking about, we learned so much.
Right.
So then the fourth book is Brody Meets the Doc, which is all about how we can practice for a doctor appointment, which of course you can generalize and use for a dental appointment or any, other type of appointment. The doctor in the book, Dr. Kennedy, is actually, again, a character based on one of our friends. Kennedy is graduating from college this month and is applying to medical school and is an autistic adult.
I saw your post on Instagram about her. It was pretty impressive to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you go to her page and you go to her link, she is such an incredible advocate. She's taking a gap year between college and medical school, and she's going to be a behavior technician in an ABA company.
Oh, nice.
And just as we were discussing earlier, the best way to advocate for change is through ABA. And so she is making a difference to say, I'm an autistic adult and I'm going to make ABA the right way. And so this is how ABA works. And she has some amazing things. And she has, after following her, she has definite needs. And, it's so interesting. It's like, as she's posting, it's like, should she tell the application team that she's autistic? And it's like she wants to, because as a neurodivergent doctor, she would be bringing an unbelievable amount.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh, that is such a needed. But the admissions people that go and help her say, don't do that. You won't, they will see that as negative. Now, how do you manage that?
Well, technically, you're not supposed to use that as a discriminatory.
Well,
piece.
yes. So this the things that you have to think about, like, oh my gosh, that's got to be so difficult because this thing that could be such an advantage to her could also pull her out of the running somewhere, which again, of course, would not be legal, but they would come up with some other reason. And so Dr. Kennedy is fabulous, and we get to see, our Brody playing with his friends at school, doing his practicing, getting ready. And then, of course, once he gets to the doctor, more things happen that, go awry. But so those are the 4 books. Our next book that'll come out at the end of this year will be on taking baths, washing hair, haircuts.
Oh, good.
That is so challenging. And yeah, we do have our little, our plushies, because having that concrete is so important. And so we use our Brodies in our therapy. We talk about Brody. We wear our Brody clothing, because we want to model how we do that mindfulness, how we take our deep breaths. It's never going to work if a child is having a meltdown and you say, take a deep breath. If they are not skilled in mindfulness ahead of time, certainly not something, and people might read that and be like, well, that doesn't work. Well, of course it doesn't if you just say, take a deep breath. But how do we practice taking a deep breath? Well, we dance, we play, and we stop, and then we do our mindful breathing. We get our Brodies. What would Brody do? Oh, he would take a deep breath and count to 2. And we practice that when we're happy. We practice that when we are, our bodies are getting a little revved up, when we're talking, too much and too loud. And how do we help ourselves regulate so that eventually, not today, not tomorrow, not next month, probably not in 6 months, but eventually, when we are having a meltdown, we will be able to use those tools. So that's Brody in a little nutshell.
So I'm going to be putting a link in the show notes for the books. Is there somewhere that they can also get the plushies?
Yeah, so it depends on which link you use. The doctor book that just came out 2 weeks ago, you can see that this one says not for sale, and I
Oh,
don't even have the hardcover yet. We haven't even gotten our own. We do sell them from our clinic. So you can buy the 3 books, either hardcover or softcover, from our shop, which is where the plushies are as well.
okay.
And that is www.brodythelion.shop.
Okay, so we'll
But
put that in the show notes, and then we'll
yeah,
also put the Amazon links
the
too.
Amazon link is where you can get this one, because we won't. They've been shipped, but it takes forever for even us to get ours. So
Right.
so we can get them through Amazon, but we don't have copies to sell yet ourselves.
Okay. So we'll repeat that at the end as well, but I just want to make sure that everyone knows where to get it, because I think having the plush doll as well to go with it will be a great way to make it a more tactile book for the
Right.
kids too. The next part that we have is our speed round. Just to review, for those that have not heard this before, our speed round is for every guest that we have on the show. It's been a few weeks since we had a speed round, but the speed round is 10 questions. They are easy. You don't have to put any thought into them. The first 3 are open-ended. The next 7 are either or questions, and you can pass if you have to. But the most
Well,
important part of it is to have fun with the questions.
so just so you know, from a neurodivergent perspective, the true false questions are often not easy for us. Um,
So you have the
so
option to say both or to
okay,
pass.
or neither. We might be saying neither to some, but because they would require long explanations that nobody wants to
Right.
hear why it might be both or neither. So anyway, we just a heads up, people. Sorry.
All right, so the first question is, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
And the last book that you read?
Ooh. I want to say there's 3 of them that I've read this month, but I want to say Uniquely Human by Barry Prezant, because that is the best one.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then what's your favorite holiday?
Pass.
Now we're into the either or. So cake or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Batman or Superman?
Neither.
Okay. Ocean or mountains?
Mountains.
Winter or summer?
Winter.
Would you rather watch a movie or read a book?
Read a book.
Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Neither.
Neither. Wow. And Twitter or Instagram?
Instagram.
I had a feeling you would say that because I found you on Instagram.
Yeah.
Do you use Twitter?
I do, but I'm not. I can't fit things into 40 characters.
All right. So if our listeners have any questions for you, how can they contact you?
Instagram, as we were just talking, is at brody.the.lion. Brody's website, www.brodythelion.com. That one doesn't have dots, just Brody the Lion. If you just Google Brody the Lion, you're going to find us, because we have our website, we have our shop, brodythelion.shop, and then we're on Amazon as well. So if you just Google Brody the Lion, you should find us pretty easily.
So, and out of fairness, to let our listeners know, I am an Amazon associate. So I'm going to be putting the links to your shop in the show notes, but I also will be putting the Amazon links. So
Great.
Listeners, if you do follow the Amazon link, it will give credit to the podcast itself, but don't go to that one for that reason. Go to either of the links that you want to, because the plush animals are on the website.
Right. And as far as the books go, if you are an Amazon Prime member and you don't pay for shipping, then it ends up being cheaper to buy them through Amazon.
Okay.
Because I have to charge you shipping. So, obviously you can't get the plushies on Amazon, but if you had to pay shipping either way, then the books are cheaper through buying them through our shop.
Okay, good. That's good information. But I would encourage the listeners to go to your shop and look at that, because I think seeing the animals there that you have even around you are enough of an interest. If I had a young child, I would want to have that to go with the book if I could. So I encourage you to look at that. We'll try to keep abreast of what you have coming out with a new book, so that we can make some posts with that too. Awesome. And I appreciate you sharing some of your Instagram content with us for our Instagram too, because I think you have some great information coming out.
Thank you. Yeah, Tanya, I really appreciate it. And, just like we talked at the very beginning, we're both passionate about what we do, and we're not here to get likes or to sell books or to, make money. We're here to make a difference. And
Right.
even if it's just one child, one family that is impacted, then it makes all of the time and all of the effort and the money that we've put into this, it makes it worthwhile. So thank you for your time. It was a pleasure spending Saturday afternoon with you.
I appreciate that. This, like I said, I had been looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better. I feel
Yeah,
like I have an in with so many different people around the country that I'm getting to meet, and my husband Steve is feeling the same way. Even though he's not in on the interview, he's part of the editing part and
yeah,
hearing all the plans and helps to run through the questions with me to make sure that I'm thinking
yeah.
logically before I sit down with everyone. But I have really enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing what you have coming out in the future as well.
Thank you so much. All
Well,
right. Well, enjoy.
you've been listening to the Water Prairie Chronicles. Any resources mentioned during this episode will be posted in the description. If you're interested in joining us as a guest, contact us through the links in the description below. Be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. We appreciate your support as we build this resource. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week for a new episode.